Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 11, Episode 16. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. I'm glad you guys are back with us, Steelers Nation, for this Wednesday show. Dave, the Steelers are back, football is back, and the Steelers are back in the win column, winning on Monday night over the New York Giants, 26-16, starting the season off on the right note. Not the most flawless game in the world for Pittsburgh, but I'll take a win however I can get it.
Yeah, especially a 10-point win at that, right? Really, and I think we had talked in our prediction. I thought, well, okay, maybe a kind of a garbage type like touchdown, maybe late. Hopefully they can, get a little bit of lead in there. And obviously, there was a point, midway through the fourth quarter, right? I felt like it wasn't in doubt, at that point because the defense was playing so good. Man, got to go back all the way back to 2017, the last time the Steelers started 1-0. That year they beat the Browns, I think 21-18. So been a while. A lot of great things to celebrate. Ben Roethlisberger's return. We'll obviously get into the game breakdown a little bit more here in a little bit, and the team being 1-0 and looking like they're going to be compete for this thing, at least based on what we saw Monday night against the Giants.
Yeah, I agree. And just broadly, a really kind of quick 30,000-foot view of the game. It was more of the same defensively last year where the run defense was swarming. They made big plays. They got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And, of course, the difference was you had an offense that was much more than competent than what it was last year. So when you combine that really stingy, aggressive, playmaking defense with an offense that is at least average, and I would say they were about average to maybe a little above overall, on Monday night, you get those kind of wins over the Giants.
Yeah, look, I mean, several times last year, you remember the kind of the attitude with the quarterbacks was just don't lose the game,
Right.
This year it's, just do a little more than don't lose the game,
mm-hmm.
And look, I mean, and we'll get into this thing a little bit more in this show, obviously, but make no mistake about it, Ben was rusty coming out. It felt like he was rusty, felt like he was trying to get the speed of the game back, like he was trying to get back on the bicycle that he hadn't ridden in 45 years or something like that. Kind of shaky there at first, and I bet he was shaking like a leaf. He talked
mm-hmm.
about that ahead of the game. Even as long as he's been around this game, I bet he was. Some throws off the mark, just timing, and look, I mean, the offense kind of no two ways about it. It was sputtered there, and then the things that we talked about that they couldn't do, turnovers and short fields for the opposition right out of chute. But as the game progressed, and look, the defense, one thing we said, this defense, we think this defense is going to be great. We don't think Roethlisberger has to be 2018 Roethlisberger here for this team to win games. Just don't turn the football over and just score when you're in the red zone, and that should be enough. And it was.
And I agree about Ben, being rusty early, but I thought overall, and I'm betting you agree, he was sharp. Like the accuracy, the touch, obviously in the early part of the game when the run game was non-existent, had to rely on Ben, and granted the offense as a whole still kind of struggled, but I was really impressed with Ben. It did not look or feel like a quarterback who had just missed literally 364 days since that injury against Seattle last season. I mean, I thought overall he was very sharp for a guy without a spring program, without a preseason, without, just coming in cold in a sense in terms of stadium action. I thought overall I was really impressed by his performance.
That 2-minute drive, I
classic
think,
Ben.
I mean, that's where it looked like he came alive. The back shoulder to Deonte.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that was good to see because of several reasons. Those two have barely worked together. Deonte had a rough start to the game. Ben actually making that throw, the whole timing, everything. I mean, you could circle that one throw and we could spend an hour on it, of why there was a lot of positives to build around that one throw. And then, just a whole two-minute drive in general, the way the play that the touchdown happened on, Ben's actions on that play, kind of falling back foot, just knowing all he had to do was get the football there, was good. That to me was the thing that just let you know, okay, the rust is off now. Kind of aspect. I think from that moment on, everybody probably started feeling better about where Ben was at.
You know what my favorite throw of Ben Monday was? And it wasn't even a completion. It was the slant to Deonte that was fit between like three defenders, and Deonte couldn't hang on to it. He got popped pretty good there. But like, you want to check velocity on his arm on the throw like that. Like, that is all velocity type throw, and Ben fitted in there perfectly. And then, even the touchdown to Juju. I mean, that's all arm because he's just falling backwards and just trying to throw it up for Juju. So arm sure looked good to me. Ben talked to the media today and said his arm felt sore, but good, and everything else hurt. So I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, and looking for him not being bounced around, right? I mean, and he
got bounced around good, more than I would have liked in a return.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the whole lump in your throat too. At one point, a couple of tweets coming across that Mason Rudolph was warming up.
Oh my God, I got so scared about that.
I know. I was thinking, oh Lord, here we go.
Right?
And after one of those early plays, he's kind of limping, flexing that knee a little bit, and you're thinking, oh Lord, let's not start this way here. And then he took a couple of hits, and he's a little bit slow, I thought, to get up from there. But I mean, let's face it, this guy has not gotten, other than maybe getting jostled around by Watt like he's on a dance floor, during that Friday night practice or Thursday night practice, whatever it was at Hines several weeks ago. This guy hasn't done anything in taking a hit in well over a year there. So I bet he does. I think his exact words was he felt like a train wreck the next day, and then the next day after that, more like a car wreck, and then he's hoping by today feel like he was just in a bicycle accident there. So look, at his age, I mean, I definitely see that, and it sounds like we're going to have Ben's day moving forward here on a Wednesday. Probably expect him to be not practicing or limited in practice on Wednesday. It sounds like he wants to just get into a cycle of resting that elbow, and I know that's going to cause consternation to several people listening to this, saying, man, Ben just, he needs to practice on Wednesday, yada, yada. Well, he also needs to make sure he keeps that elbow and arm strong as well, too. So, yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what you'd grade this thing. I'd grade it probably a B plus to just a B overall on his return, and I don't think you could ask for anything more than that from what we saw Monday night.
I'm with you on a B plus for Ben's return specifically. Do you think that they make those elbow jackets just for the elbow? Does someone have to specifically cut that out or somehow? Can I buy those somewhere?
I think I think he said he had that made there, and that's another thing that you're thinking. Okay, well, has that got something in it that's is he needing that to help with the you just so much unknown of why he had that on at the time, but yeah, it makes sense, for him to have that kind. Look, whatever it takes, right? I mean, he could get out there and 5 rolls of bubble wrap on it in between the series, and I'd be fine with it or whatnot. But overall, and look, we have no way of knowing the actual velocity, and I mean, we could try to get into the stopwatch and yardage thing and go back and all, and angle. Someone had pointed out saying in an email to me that maybe we'll get to later in the show that just seemed like maybe his release point on certain throws was a little different. Didn't he talk about in this video docu-series of his about having to try to readjust and maybe get a different arm angle, release point?
A little bit. I know there was, in the third part, I have not watched the final part that was released today, there was a talk about kind of reworking his mechanics, kind of relearning to throw the football, and maybe doing some different stuff with his hips and things like that. So maybe some changes to that, but I also bet that we just pay attention to that stuff and nitpick that stuff more because there is such a obvious, rightful hyper focus on him and his throwing motion and his arm.
Right. It's like it's like the Cindy Crawford birthmark, right? You want to focus in probably too much on it. It looks good anyway.
No idea any of those words you just said.
You don't know who Cindy Crawford is?
I have a vague recollection. She was on a bunch of posters. Like in the 70s, everyone had a poster of her in their bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man, somehow I just warped into this old things that I think that people get now. It's a sign you're getting old. People that you
should know by now.
I know, but I don't. It's still a self-realization factor. You know, things that you say that you think everybody should know, now they don't know. You know, so I gotta be careful with that. But anyway, I think you kind of get the general picture I was trying to paint there. Yeah, we don't need to hyper focus on some of those things until we have reason to hyper focus on such matters.
Right. Let's take a step back and let's kind of do some housekeeping stuff before we kind of really get into everything that happened during the game and our thoughts and analysis of it. Let's start with the injury report, Dave. And unfortunately, the Steelers suffered some injuries in Monday's win over the Giants. 3 main ones: James Conner with an ankle, Stefan Wisniewski with a pec, and Zach Banner may be the most serious of all with a reportedly torn ACL. Banner confirmed he'll have surgery on Friday, and it appears his season is over. It seems more optimistic for Conner, who does not seem to have he's avoided the dreaded high ankle sprain, and so his status for Sunday against Denver is up in the air. Wisniewski's still up in the air, may not be season ending. We're not quite sure where he falls, but Banner, likely his season is done, and that really, I mean, it sucks anytime anyone gets hurt for Conner, Wisniewski and Banner, but for a guy like Banner, I mean, how much this game meant to him, his first start at right tackle, and man, I got to tell you, Dave, whenever I saw the reaction on Banner's face on the sideline, because I wanted to see his reaction, because I saw Ben talking to him, I saw players coming up to him, but then I was like, there were so many people in the way, and then there was kind of a parting of players, and I saw Banner's face when the camera was on him. You just kind of knew how bad that was, and he was emotional, obviously. So really, I mean, all injuries suck, but that one really hurts to see for Zach Banner.
Yeah, it got you to see that kind of raw emotion and knowing feeling and knowing what the seriousness, you know, what the fallout and all that is. You know, This is a kid that bet on himself, 1-year deal. I mean, obviously pocketing, you know, a little bit of money this year, but you know, one of the things when we get Joel Corey back on is we want to talk about athletes' expenses. You know, and how much that goes into you know, how much of their check do they actually get? You know, but
like less than half, right?
Yeah,
taxes.
Oh yeah, taxes and upkeep and agent. And, right. Man, you know, people look at it and say, well, $1.75 million. Boy, I'd like to trade plate. I'd have my knee tore up, you know, for that. Yeah, probably not, you know, because and look, I mean, he got him to the point where he was able to battle for a starting spot. He won that starting spot, and if he would have played well the rest of the season, he was going to cash in to some degree. Now, what was that some degree? It was probably going to depend on the level of how well he played. Was he going to be able to remain in Pittsburgh? Was he going to go elsewhere because of the cap situation? Hard to tell, but he had worked hard, and this is a guy that everybody really had tossed to the curb for the most part. Already had been on a handful of teams, had 1 foot out of the league, overweight, and then roaring back he comes, and the kind of guy that you kind of root for, you know, for sure. And then, you know, to make it almost through his first NFL start, or his first NFL start as a tackle on Monday night, and then to have that kind of happen on such a, you know, it looked like he caught his foot, right? You know,
yeah, freaky moment.
You know, just kind of one of those freak things, and down he goes, and yeah, it's ACL. He got on the Twitter machine last night, talked about having surgery on Friday, and yeah, look, I mean, it's obviously going to end his season here. And before we get into the other injuries here, and talk about them, I always try to find some silver linings in some of these things, all right, whether it be for the player or for the organization or both or what have you. It sucks what happened to him. There's no two ways around it here. However, if you would think that he caught a break by this thing happening this early in the season, all right, he'll be able to have surgery on Friday. If things go as it goes with schedules with other players with the same type of injury, there's no reason to think he won't be ready to go by the time training camp opens next year. Now, he will lose. He won't. You know, he's in the Sean Davis situation here, where he's going to lose the credited season, but he'll get the accrued season. He'll still be, I think, still should be scheduled, I believe, to be an unrestricted free agent. All right. Now, had he been an unrestricted free agent coming off of a good season, he likely gone. All right. Now with him coming off of this injury and all, nobody's going to touch him. And you would think that at some point throughout this process, it might not be in March, it might be April or May, the Steelers are going to re-sign him as long as everything goes okay. And it might be a 1-year minimum contract again. And I would bet that that's what transpires, and then Banner will once again get a chance to compete for a starting job. And oh yeah, how many times have we said during on this podcast the last several weeks that, man, what's this team going to do at tackle? Maybe after this year, if Villanueva flies the coop, if Filer flies the coop, if Banner flies the coop, well, now maybe Banner's name's going to be in the discussion there. Maybe maybe it would ease the process a little bit if he's able to come back from this thing. So once again, it sucks for him overall, but maybe it'll give him, maybe he'll have one last shot, and maybe that last shot will be in Pittsburgh, next offseason.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate the optimism, and you're right. I mean, if it was going to happen, it's better for it to happen now so he can be fully recovered, or at least likely be fully recovered for the start of training camp in 2021. But you feel for Banner. You saw the outpouring of support, which is great to see. But, just, again, any injury sucks, but just knowing what that guy's been through, how close he was to falling out of football entirely, how hard he's worked to work his way back and to earn the starting job is really crushing. But this dude's attacked every battle the last couple of years and has come out the other side and won it, whether that was just getting back in the league, making the roster, getting a hat, starting the right tackle spot. I think he can attack and win this battle, recovering from his reported torn ACL.
All right, as far as the rest of the injuries go, Stefan Wisniewski, Dr. Mel, boy, kudos to Dr. Mel. In no time whatsoever, she had 2 articles turned around, waiting to go up on the site that next morning on both Wisniewski and Banner. So props to her. What a valuable asset for us to have with her. We'll see. Tomlin sure painted at least not a horrific picture when it comes to Wisniewski. I mean, is this the type thing where he's going to go on IR for at least 3 weeks, maybe longer? We'll see. We don't have kind of the definitive kind of picture with him as we do kind of with Banner. So we'll keep our fingers crossed when it comes to him. Maybe we'll learn a little bit just by roster moves maybe the team makes today. Maybe Wisniewski will go to IR for at least 3 weeks. Maybe it's just not as bad as what people are fearing there with that pec injury. The way he was flexing that thing and the way he went off, though, and obviously didn't come back, man, it makes you kind of, at least on a short week, it's hard to bet on him playing.
Yeah.
I think that's where we stand on him. And Connor, I don't know what to say about this, Alex. I mean, the guy just can't stay on the field for one reason or another. And hopefully it's not, it doesn't seem like it's the high ankle thing, but here we go, week 1. And, is he going to be ready for week 2? Is this just everything just starting all over with him again? It's just, I don't know what to add to this without, being really, really negative,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like we're beating a dead horse at this point when it comes to Connor and injuries. You just hope that he can come back against the Broncos. It is a short week. We'll see if that's working against him. But at least it does not appear to be a serious injury. So if he misses time, it'll probably be just 1 week and he can be ready for week 3 against Houston. But Tomlin just said they'll leave the light on for Connor and Wisniewski, and Banner's been ruled out. And obviously his season is almost certainly over. So that's the injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let me ask you real quick here. If Connor gets him in a position where he can get a helmet on Sunday, does he start and should he start? 2 different questions there.
Mm-hmm. I would say yes to both. If he's healthy enough to play, he's healthy enough to start. And if he's just not healthy to start, then he's not probably healthy enough to play at all. Maybe in some respect you would have a rotation, limit his snap count a bit, especially after how well Benny Snell ran. But if he's ready and he's your starting back, then he's your starter.
Is that more from a psyche aspect, a team aspect, my answer to those questions would be yes to the first one. I think he will,
mm-hmm.
and no to the second one, especially the way Benny Snell played. In relief. I would like to see the whole damn a game where Benny's allowed to run downhill right from the start, get warmed up. I think Benny's the kind of back that takes a couple carries to get it going, But I think the more carries he gets, the better I think he kind of gets. And you'd much rather have those carries, get those warm up carries out of the way early in the game. And also with Connor, I just think now at this point he's burned up that confidence factor that the team should have in him. Now, what will happen? I'm with you, like I said on the first part. I think if he gets him in a position where they think he's healthy enough to play, I think Tomlin will throw him out there to start. Now, obviously, he'll be supplanted at some point, we've been kind of calling for that to happen regardless. But I have a funny feeling that that's what's going to transpire if he's in a position where he can play.
Yeah, we'll see. But I've been as high as anybody on Benny Snell, and was really excited about his performance Monday, obviously. And I'd love to see more of him this season. I think that we will. But we'll find out with Connor and see if he's even going to play first and kind of take it from there. I'm sure he'll be limited throughout the week.
And what's going to happen now I guess to kind of round out the injury report, Mike Tomlin didn't share really anything new about David DeCastro. We'll have to just play it by ear on the injury report here. It'd be great if this was the week that David DeCastro came back. I'm not going to hold my breath. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. Did he practice at all last week, or was he out every single day?
He did not practice. Yeah, he did not practice. So there's probably going to be at this point too some sort of football conditioning aspect to some degree, in there as well too. And on a short week like this, and I would be surprised. So look, I've been wrong on these things before, but I mean, he's got to be limited today, I would think, if he's going to have a chance to play. If he's not at least limited, then you might as well go ahead and get ready to rule him out again there. So let's assume he's not able to go. What are you doing and let's assume Wisniewski's not going to play.
What am I doing for week 2? You really kind of run out of options at this point. It's a core 4, obviously a right tackle, and then it's going to have to be Kevin Dotson at right guard.
I agree. I don't. I know that there was some positive comments about J.C. Hassenauer by Tomlin and lip service and all like that, but. Look, that should be, and I don't know. I mean, it was just a handful of snaps for Dotson the other night, but I almost needed a cold shower after one of them.
Yeah, that one pull he had was pretty nice.
Yeah, that run into power there late. I thought he did a good job like that. And what did he play? 6-7 snaps in total, and one of them I think kneeled down or whatnot. So I mean, not much to wrap our eyes around just yet there. But yeah, I think that's what would transpire. Is it would be Dotson starting at right guard.
Unfortunately, depth has been tested pretty good already, so the sooner DeCastro can come back, the better, but we shall see. Quick note on the inactive list, Steelers, and we'll talk about this here, and I know this is going to burn you up, and it did as me. Dave, 6 Steelers were inactive for Monday's game. It was Josh Dobbs, Anthony McFarland, UG3, Carlos Davis, Zach Gentry, and, of course, David DeCastro. And Mike Tomlin admitted he goofed after the game. The Steelers did have 8 offensive linemen dressed, which means they could have had 48 players active, which means only 5 inactives. And somehow that message did not come to Tomlin's desk. And so he just admitted Tuesday that he screwed up and should have had an extra player active, and he did not, and they'll fix it going forward.
Oh, wow. How much time do we have?
We're a half hour into this thing, and I want to talk about the game.
How I felt game morning there when the inactives came in. I'm thinking to myself, why the hell are there 6 inactives?
Right. I thought they promoted somebody from the practice squad.
I did too, and I thought, man, and that was the first thing I said was, okay, well, who got promoted? All right, and then nothing, and as we got closer to kickoff, I started to think to myself, he messed this up.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I was legitimately at the point where I said he messed this up. Now the other side of the coin was somebody got sick. That was the only other thing, and obviously not knowing 100% sure whether or not someone from the practice squad got elevated, but it didn't seem like that was the case there. I don't understand how this happens. All right, now look, I understand new roster rules, blah blah blah. But it's not like this stuff. I'm getting a stink eye from my wife because she knows how much time.
She's probably heard this all.
Yeah, she has. She could probably get on and give you an earful right now too, because I've been ranting about this. I'm that guy that likes the dots between the T and the J on TJ Watt. That drives me crazy when I see you not do that, by the way.
Well,
okay.
Get used to it. I'm not putting extra energy in the dots.
But anyway, this is the same coach that pregame said, I'm not, gave us the appearance that he knew what was going on with this thing, with the roster. I'm not giving any back, as far as talking about, taking full advantage of the roster rules and all like that. So for them not to have clarity on this was very unnerving to hear. Heck, he could call us for free, and we would straighten him out. This is his exact quote.
I would charge. He can call you for free. Okay. I'm billing him.
He says, there was some indecision on my part about the rule, and so we didn't get clarity on it until extremely late in the process. And just from an overall preparedness standpoint, we decided to put the helmets on the guys that were prepared to play and had an understanding that they were going to play. So I take responsibility for that miscommunication, and it's a learning process for us. There's a lot of memos coming out of New York these days, so it's tough to keep up with them. You hire somebody to keep up with them. You don't have to keep up with them. Hire somebody that can keep up with them and understand that, and then sit you down for 10 minutes after practice one day and make sure you know what's going on with this. To me, there's no excuse from that. And what's even more that drove me even more madder, if you can imagine, was it wasn't like he just, he had 6, not 7 on top of it.
Right.
Which
you knew about the 8 offensive linemen, which gave you an extra spot. You didn't realize it gave you 2, though.
Right. So, there was some indecision within the indecision, basically there. So, and I was really perplexed when, look, I mean, you can make arguments. I thought for sure, I was pretty positive that McFarland would be down. All right. Now, to some people, that might be considered a surprise. Okay. I'm on board with that. The other 3 we knew was going to happen. Josh Dobbs, DeCastro, Carlos Davis, and now there was a little bit of wondering who maybe that 5th one would be or whatever. But to have both Zach Gentry, I mean, which you could make an argument, okay, I understand why that happened, but Ulysses Gilbert III, I mean, that's really where I was a head scratcher right there. One of your best first half special teams players last season, and you got to sit him down. So yeah, shame on them. And luckily, look, it didn't cost them a game. We probably wouldn't even known it if we wouldn't even been told about it. Counting up the play, blah blah blah. But that kind of stuff, thank God they got that out of the way, and hopefully they learn from that. But that little aspect, and people listening to this probably think I'm going overboard on it. But that's the kind of minutia that drives you crazy sometimes about Mike Tomlin. And I'm a huge Mike Tomlin fan, but that stuff right there and the response, look, I'm glad he admitted to it, whatever, but it still doesn't mean we shouldn't get mad at it.
Right. And the thing that makes it just like 5% worse is that they were the Monday game. So they went through the whole weekend, could see like how teams were constructing their rosters and who was active and who was inactive and all that, and still screwed it up. I know they're not paying like super close attention to that, but still, I mean, it's like at the combine when the last guy screws up the drill and you're like, how do you screw that up? You just watched 20 people ahead of you do the drill correctly, so they'll get it figured out. It was frustrating. But how about but of the guys that were active, James Pierre getting the hat with Justin Lane, which was interesting. So Pierre getting the hat over guys like UG3 and Zach Gentry. And
I wonder if he would have. Maybe they knew the rules. It's one of those. I mean, he didn't get much burn, right?
On 7 snaps
on special teams. So, that's something to look at because of what happened with the inactive list. I'm afraid to read too much into the roster decisions. Let's see what happens this next week. And of course, some of these inactives and roster decisions are probably going to be more predicated by injury this week than obviously they were last week. But yeah, James Pierre was the other one that I was pretty sure was going to be inactive, and he wasn't. Now, is that Well, we'll see. But the fact, look, it's a testament to him that he's not only did he make the roster as on a truncated offseason as a undrafted rookie free agent, but now he got a helmet week 1 as well too.
Right. Last housekeeping note real quick, then I want to jump into the game. This has not been 100% confirmed, maybe by the time we're off podcast here, but it seems like Curtis Riley, the safety signed before training camp, who was cut and then put on the practice squad, is signing with the Arizona Cardinals. And so there's a big debate and kind of discussion and confusion and trying to figure out rules on protecting players and all that. It seems like the Steelers weren't able to protect him right away, and so the Cardinals swooped in and signed him. I'm not 100% sure. Matthew, I think, did a great job of trying to outline everything in the post he wrote for SteelersDepot.com, but it appears Curtis Riley is now a member of the Arizona Cardinals.
However that transpired, which we're still trying to figure out that minutia, which I don't think after reading some of this stuff related to the rules, I don't think this one's on Tomlin.
No.
I thought maybe at first it was because I thought that they had to declare their 4 protected players yesterday. But when you read deeper into it, those teams that played on Monday night had the extra day. Now, is there a hole in the rule that allows teams? In other words, are teams penalized? I wouldn't think that teams are penalized by playing on Monday night to protect. Here's what I think happened. Okay, and once again, we got to get to the game and all. Here's what I think happened. I think players are allowed to, within that 24-hour window, if they're protected, if a player's protected that's on the practice squad and then not elevated to the 53-man roster for that game that follows, then he's got a 24-hour period after that game, I believe, to terminate his practice squad contract. Okay.
Right. I mean, just basically like on Monday, he's not protected because you can't protect until Tuesday, and he can sign anywhere if someone wants to come in and sign him. That's how I
think he still has to terminate his contract with Curtis Riley, with him being protected, had he been put up to the 53-man roster, then he doesn't have to. Then he goes back. I'm confused about after, if he was to play on the 53-man roster, what rights he would have.
He got promoted to the 53?
Had he gotten promoted to the 53, I'm unclear what rights Curtis Riley would have had the next day.
Okay, but he didn't get promoted, obviously.
Right,
so
but I'm wondering,
he loses that protected status, doesn't he? Temporarily.
Well,
they can protect him
he has the right to terminate his contract at that point.
Right.
And I'm willing to bet when this sheet comes out today from the NFL, that's what it's going to say on it.
Yeah, but I think that's just a more obtuse language of being poached and signing from someone's practice squad, like traditionally when someone would get poached from a practice squad.
Well, you are technically signed off the practice squad at that point.
Right. I don't know.
You understand. I mean, look, there's still some gray that we're still trying to get through with this, and we'll learn it by a couple of weeks from now. But it's going to take, just because I don't think there's a full amended CBA copy floating around right now. There's bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen the full amended CBA. From to be able to dive deeper into some of this stuff.
I'm just saying, whenever we've seen these players get poached, like Alex Light, for example, who got poached by, I think, Dallas, it just reads on the transaction sheet as terminated and then signed. And that just seems to be the language that they're using whenever someone gets poached. It's just the practice squad contract was terminated and they get signed to the team that's signing them to their active roster. Okay.
All right. Well, regardless, Riley's gone.
Bottom line.
And I don't think it was Tomlin's fault on this one. And the other bit of news, Gerald Hawkins, there was a report yesterday that he was signed off the Texans practice squad. Jerry Dulac stated last night that was not the case. However, if you look at the NFL transaction sheet, Hawkins terminated his contract, his practice squad contract. So maybe we'll know by the end of this show.
Yeah, maybe that alert you got is the alert for Gerald Hawkins. We'll find out.
Here it is, right here.
Is it really?
Hold on. No, it's not. That's Ben Roethlisberger's transcript. Okay.
That would maybe sound smart, and had that been the case. All right. Anyway, let's get to the game. 26-16.
What do you think? Should Hawkins be the guy?
I mean, I get it because he's known and he knows the system. But the last time I watched him in 2019 camp, he was rough coming off that torn quad. And hopefully another year out puts him in a better position. But man, Gerald Hawkins is not going to be your savior. I promise you that.
All right, we'll know. Look, we expect Banner to go to IR. We'll see what happens with Wisniewski. We'd expect they're going to fill at least one practice squad spot, and then we'll have to see what happens with this Hawkins thing or whoever they're going to bring in to fill that 53-man roster spot as well too. So at some point, make sure you're checking out SteelersDepot.com because we'll recap all the transactions as we always do.
And I promise there'll be less minutia, hopefully, for future shows. So let's get into the game. Again, Steelers win 26-16, move to 1-0 on the season. Let's kind of just start with the Steelers offense, and then we'll talk about Steelers defense a little bit later. Again, with the offense, the run game slow to start. Ben, I thought overall was very sharp. And then once Connor exited with the ankle sprain, Benny Snell comes in and does some very Benny Snell football type things, running well, running hard. I think he finished with a $113 in his first 100-yard rushing game in the NFL.
Benny Snell football. Two runs of more than 20 yards. Last season, the Steelers had 9 explosive runs. Benny Snell had 3 of them. Already has 2 this year, and the Steelers. That's stealing in a game when you get runs for 20 yards or more. That's flat out. That's a freebie, if you ask me. We all know how important explosive plays are to games, and to get them on the ground, even the more better, as I like to say. So good for him. I thought he did. I think he's the kind of back, and obviously we don't have still a lot of tape on him overall in the grand scheme, but he's more of a warm-up back. I think he's the type guy that gets better as the game wears on, gets a little bit more physical. He's just got that Benny Snell demeanor later in games that I know defensive backs don't like facing there. I thought he showed a little bit more patience than maybe what we've seen before on some of these powers.
You see more bursts? I saw him have the burst to get to the edge on those power runs.
Yeah, saw that. Obviously the one bad thing there was him losing that football. And props to Juju for being able to be in the right spot and have the effort to get that. That was really the only downside. I think something like 47 or 48% run success rate for Benny Snell on those carries. So you'd like to see it at 50. Really, but we're working with a small sample size here so far. So I'll take it, and I'll definitely take it when there's 2 explosive runs in there. Just overall, thought he did a good job, especially as the game wore on, filling in, and really more than anything, where he gets the A+, I think, was the pass protection on the touchdown.
To pick up Jabril Peppers, to give Ben the time to throw it to Juju. And I thought Benny Snell was a better pass protector coming out of college than most rookie running backs because he just had to do it a good bit at Florida because he was the guy, and Kentucky ran more of an older school type offense, and he didn't catch the football a whole lot. But he's definitely taken strides forward, it appears, this year. And they trusted him. I mean, they used him in third down situations even before that. So, yeah, big moment there for Benny Snell, arguably maybe his best moment of the day, and in a game that's full of good moments for number 24.
Right. We could sit here and say, okay, 100 yards, blah, 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 5-something yards per carry, blah, blah, blah. I think the thing that made me put the A+ on him was the pass protection there.
Because we knew he could run the football. Now
Sure.
It's about can you do everything else to be that complete, to be that feature back is more than just running the football. You got to be able to catch, be able to pass protect, got to have trust and conditioning, and if you show all those things, then you become an actual feature back.
Right.
So good stuff there for Benny Snell, and yeah, I mean it was tough sledding, running early, and you kind of felt that Giants front when they got the ball on the outside a little bit more, and then once Snell came in, as you said, kind of got warmed up. Then you saw this offense have success, and of course, second half you had a lead and kind of able to grind up the win that way.
All right. What did you think about the motion? The use of the motion on offense. That was a big thing, and we've got some of this charted yet. Obviously, we haven't got the all 22 yet, so there's going to be a lot of to be continued in this, But what did you think about the use of the motion?
Yeah, definitely definitely could feel Canada's influence. There was stuff last year or this year that you would not have seen any year with Randy Feetner or even Todd Haley. It wasn't super effective. I don't think the window dressing really worked. Again, I'll have to look at the All-22 and kind of get a better feel and gauge for it. But I like the idea, and I think with time, as they kind of work things out and figure out what works and what doesn't, the one thing they'll have to do with some of the motion, though, is maybe, give the ball to a receiver who's coming across on a jet or something that will force defenses to respect some of the eye candy and window dressing, just to maybe help open up something for the running back. So like it as a first start, wasn't super effective, but I like the idea because I wanted to see more motion incorporated in this offense, especially motion on the fly instead of real stagnant, just low tempo type motion.
Yeah, you have to give them a reason why they need to be concerned about it.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
Other than just watching it. And at some point when McFarland starts getting a helmet, that'll be a perfect opportunity. Because and here's the thing too, how fearful are you when you have a guy like Juju coming across versus a guy like, say, McFarland? A lot of times when you see these teams around the league use kind of this stuff, it's usually with a speedster as well too. And look, I mean, Juju, he does have speed, blah, blah, blah. We've seen him break off the 90-something yard touchdowns and all like that. But does he really strike that kind of fear in people on an end around, like a Darius Hayward-Bay or something like that,
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about – it's part of that, but also just, if you motion him and then, run a boot to that side and throw it to the flat. And if they don't want to cover it, or if they're late covering it, then you have someone open and good luck tackling Juju in the open field. So you just want to, they'll keep building on it for sure. There's just the first week kind of stuff. There was so much newness. You didn't really have a good feel and scouting report for the Giants and what they were going to do and their strengths and weaknesses. So now that you have tape on opponents and you're getting a good feel for yourself and your own personnel, and what works and what doesn't, I think we'll see it used more and, more importantly, more effectively with motion throughout the season. So if you can just add a little wrinkle to this offense, then all the better.
All right, according to offensive charting we got back from Tom, it looks like 14 plays where the snap of the football happened with the player still in motion.
Still in motion.
Still moving at the snap of the football.
I watched the first 6 quarters of last year before Ben went down. You want to know how many times there was a player still in motion on the snap of the football?
How many?
1. So you're feeling that influence already.
How about that next level stats from SteelersDepot.com, huh? Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Deonte was the guy 2, 3, 4 times. Juju was the guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Washington 1, 2, 3. And it looks like Claypool 1, 2 times.
Is there a category for just total motion, even stuff that wasn't on the fly?
Yes, there is, and it's not sorting right, I don't think. Hold on here. Let me go by.
Yeah. I would just like to know what the total motion rate is, the on the fly and even not on the fly being set motion, I guess, so to speak, would be to compare that with the number that I have from last season.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
All right. And that's how many, what's the percentage on that? I don't remember.
Now, this also becomes like, this also includes like running back shifts sides as well too. Okay. As well. So that's the number. And
what's the percentage on that? 32 out of how many plays? 64, 68?
I forgot. I don't know. I don't have what the total amount was here. Let me see here. I'm still trying to get used to us having this kind of implemented into charting. Overall, I'm trying to find the play count for you here, Alex.
Yeah, just let me know what the actual play count is, and then I can get the percentage for that and compare that to last season. I think it's 64, 68 total plays, if you have the number in the chart.
Hold on a minute here. I can't pull it up for some reason right now.
Okay. All right, we'll get that for Friday's show, but I can already tell it's probably around 50%, and that's significantly higher than where it was through 6 quarters with Ben last season. And without Ben, I promise the number did not really get any better. So, yeah, already feeling Canada's influence. Again, I don't know if it was – I didn't feel like it was super effective, but
64 offensive plays that were non-penalty related, yes, there you go.
So 50% of snaps with motion. Last year through 6 quarters, it was 31.6%. So again, big difference between last year and this year.
There you go.
All right. Other things with the offense. Receivers. Juju. Great game. Welcome back, Juju. Had the very 2018 vibes, catching 2 touchdowns, recovering that fumble. He was kind of Ben's go-to guy, especially on third down, some of those crossers. James Washington. Chase Claypool. How about Chase Claypool's first catch? Wasn't a touchdown, but I think he'll take it because it's a pretty nice snag.
Yeah, it was, and kind of a tough throw, and all, the degree of difficult. I think it was the most difficult completion by Next Gen Stats for week 1 there too. Look, I don't want to downplay it. I mean, it was a fantastic catch, and people are going to say, "Oh man, where's Dave going with this?" I'm going with this is we've seen if you go back and watch the last 2 seasons of Claypool at Notre Dame. He made that catch a lot. Similar, combative along the sideline, maybe not that particular kind of toe tap there. It was a great catch, but that kind of catch really didn't surprise me there. Now, it was great to see it, obviously, NFL level, first NFL catch, to be a highlight type catch with that. Absolutely fantastic. But that, I don't know were you surprised by it?
No, I'm not surprised by it in the sense of it wasn't something that we hadn't seen before in college, but man, to do it at the NFL level that was on a third down too, right? A big moment there, getting both feet in. That whole newness to the NFL of having to tap both feet in, and that felt very AB-esque with the Tony toe tap there on the sideline.
Boy, what a catch radius that guy has, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why Ben throws all those bad balls in practice, just to make you adjust to those difficult plays in real game situations like that.
Yeah, huge. I mean, for the situation, obviously the offense, and that was a little bit of a spark for the offense there, at that time, which really hadn't been great at that time there. So, that will be one that he should download the video for and save somewhere. Obviously, with the first NFL catch there, but those are the type of things that we saw him do on the college tape.
Right. And so nice performance for him. He had another catch later in the game, and then ran an end around to him late in that one as well, and was the starting gunner as well. I don't know how great he did. I have to look at it. I don't think it was the best performance in the world, but he was starting gunner as we kind of expected.
I think we said 3 for 30 was the line for him, and a half a touchdown. Well, he didn't get the touchdown. He did not get the 3 catches, but he got the yardage. So 39 yards there. And really, don't undersell what he did on that end around too. He got down.
Right. That was a very heads-up play. Good point.
So rookie to have that kind of wherewithal, if you will, and cognizant of that kind of stuff. Good for him. He was pretty pumped after that play as well too. So how many snaps did he play? What did I have? 14 was it? 17? Oh, hold on a minute here. 19,
and then 14 on special teams.
And I hate to go back to his college tape here though, but I was not shocked at all to see him be the first gunner down the field on several of those occasions there with him. That was what he did so well at Notre Dame, even dating back to his senior year there. So he is, at least for this season. Now how much he'll continue to play gunner past this season, we'll see. But very strong aspect. This team might have the best gunners right now we've seen in a long time. With Lane and Claypool being able to get off and get out of vices and get downfield.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve judgment on that because he's just still two young guys that I want to see a lot more of, but potential's there. Other receivers, James Washington. We talked about him before Monday's game about kind of how he's the forgotten man in the receiver room with all the attention on Juju and Deonte and Claypool, but Washington reminding fans of how much he's improved, and that was some real grew up on a farm strength on his touchdown, wasn't it, Dave?
That's country man strong right there. That was incredible after catch effort there because you're thinking, oh man, he's short, hurry up, and then
save one timeout left.
Right.
Like 15 seconds left.
Right, you like her, you got that adrenaline run through you, and evidently he did as well too. For him to break those tackles like that and get into the end zone, that'll all get swept underneath the rug because of Roethlisberger's game and Juju and Claypool's catch and all like that. But that's the kind of stuff that this team's going to need out of Washington this year, and it was a huge play in the game.
Mm-hmm. And I just thought overall, first of all, it's just great to see red zone touchdowns. I mean, A, it's just great to see them in the red zone. And B, it's great to see red zone touchdowns. They were 3 for 4 on Monday. They were obviously last in football last season, so that's great to see. And I love the schematics of it. The Steelers did a great job of exploiting the Giants' man coverage, running picks and rubs. That happened on Washington's touchdowns, which was a slant flat combo. And then on Juju's second touchdown, it was the same concept at the other side, basically kind of a slant, wheel, flat-ish type combination. The pick the Giants' corners created separation and got receivers open for touchdowns. So I thought schematically they had a really good game plan to exploit the Giants' man coverage in the red zone.
And because of what they're having to use on Ebron, the personnel on him, that's helping too, I think. What opposing defenses are, how they're having to kind of treat him as well too, because Ebron was kind of the rubber, if you will,
On which touchdown?
I don't know if it was on a touchdown, but on a couple of those slants, on a couple of those big plays there with Juju as part of that 2-minute drive.
Okay, yeah, on the touchdowns, I don't think Ebron had a factor, but there was the one where I think it was Juju came under Ebron, and so yeah, just nice job to use natural picks and rubs and not get called for PI. And on that Washington touchdown, the Giants' corners ran into each other, so there's no risk for PI there. So that was done really, really well.
And I think it was Juju that caused that confusion, right?
Yeah, it was Washington running under Juju, and the other one I think Juju ran under Deonte for his second touchdown, I believe.
All right, and I put out on Twitter, going through the game, that great job of picks and switch routes, I thought, in this game.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So that is the Steelers. Well, Deonte Johnson, you want to talk about Deonte now or save him for the special teams segment?
No, I mean, we can look at him as a whole because he didn't get off. I mean, obviously, the flub on the punt right out, you can't catch that ball up, that high. And it looked like he was unsure at first if you want to call a fair catch, whatever. That's the kind of stuff that'll get you in a hole quick, and almost did. Luckily the defense, quick change defense, played well and all like that. Just overall, not a great start to the game. Like he wasn't in this thing. Had you mentioned that early throw, right? As well too. Probably should have had that on the quick slant. I think that's going to go down as a drop for him.
Then he had another just clear drop later in the game. I think it was.
All right, so I don't know if we'll have to look 1 or 2 drops on that, but in total. But he did settle down, on that back shoulder that we talked about earlier there, and then really just second half on the typical. He runs a good curl comeback, does a good job of working back to the quarterback out of breaks and all, and makes himself a nice target there. So. It was good to see him after a bad first half rebound in the second half, and save his grade, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's shown that before the Bengals game last year, fumble in the opening drive of the game. Bengals recovered, and he bounced back. So there's mental toughness there. I mean, I like everything about his game other than just the hands and ball security, because he had one clear drop. You could argue the one on the slant was a drop, but that's a tougher play to make. And then he had the one where it was, I think, an RPO, and he didn't get his head around, and Ben, I think, hit him in the head with the football. And then he had the muff punt, and even the second punt was an adventure of trying to catch that one. It was stuff that I saw last year before the Cardinals game, where it was kind of feeling like he was having trouble judging the football and getting square and getting under it. So hopefully he'll bounce back. But the issues with him have always been, hands, ball security. We saw that even at Toledo, and those are things he's still trying to work on.
Yeah, and I think Tyler wrote an article about that, one of his first articles for Steelers Depot, about one of the big jumps that Deonte's got to make this year. It's just better ball security.
Right.
So hopefully hopefully he's got some of that out of his system already.
Yep. All right, let's finish up the offense with the offensive line. And it was not a great performance, even knowing some of the moving and shaking, and you didn't have the old DeCastro Gilbert on the right side. And so I don't know if you could expect that DeCastro Gilbert, in their prime like performance. But yeah, the line was shaky, both run and pass, especially in the first half of that one.
I would agree, and I didn't think Wisniewski played all that great of a game. He
was pretty bad.
I think some of his highlights may have been on a pull or two, and that was about it. I didn't think he played very well at all. I didn't think Pouncey had all that great of a game, and maybe that's because of working between two different guys in there. They're probably not used to working in between. Banner, I thought he was sloppy at times as well too. And Villanueva, I don't think Villanueva played as bad as what people are making out to be, because I think one of the look, Ben's got to get rid of the ball in certain situations. You know?
that 1 sack he took was on him for just fading backwards and backwards and backwards.
And overall, I think Filer was the best offensive lineman, and I think Villanueva was the second best offensive lineman, and then the other three were below the line, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really wish we had the All-22 to start getting a better feel for it, because line play is so hard to grade live and on the TV tape. Again, I'll have to go back and look. I felt like one issue on the right side between Wisniewski and Banner, especially in pass pro, was that they weren't staying on the same level, and so you were getting some really big lanes for these Giants' big defensive linemen to power through and to kind of create some angles for them to get penetration. So overall, there was some issues protecting the pocket, some penetration. Banner was getting walked back some. Wisniewski just looked really rough in pass pro, and they just did not feel like they were on the same page and communicating and passing stuff off well. So obviously, a bit of a moot point now with Banner getting hurt and a core four in the lineup, and Wisniewski's status uncertain. But the line was not great, especially early.
And I should clarify that I think I thought Villanueva was the best pass protector of the night.
Yeah, again, I'll have to go back and look. I mean, who was he facing? Golden? I forget. I think he was facing more Marcus Golden that game.
I mean, it was right there, him and Filer as top pass protector. Now, I thought Filer was the much obvious. And look, if there's one weakness, defined weakness, it's probably going to always be the weakness. And we talked about it not long ago about Villanueva, just the run blocking aspect of it. It's not, not great. And Filer, I thought was far and away very, very good in that aspect of it. Chikwamo Okorafor didn't play enough snaps to really get a good feel for him. Same with Kevin Dotson, even though I like that pull. With him going from right to left in the game, that gave you some confidence moving forward with him. Filer on the move. That was kind of the highlight positive, I think, in that game. And Alex, when is the last time we have seen 3 consecutive power runs in a row with the left guard pulling to the right?
Probably not since Faneca.
Or Kimoatu, maybe, but even then, I don't know if they'd ask him to do it 3 times in a row there. I think the start of the second half there is when you saw that with Filer 3 consecutive times. So one of the things we said was, okay, with these with the move to guard for Filer, we're going to be ambidextrous here. We're going to be able to see both DeCastro and Filer really on command, whatever whim you want to do, be able to pull those guys. Because Foster did it. Foster was better than expected at times, but it wasn't something they made a living of doing. How nice will it be if you get in a situation there where you have both of your guards, DeCastro and Filer, that you have complete confidence in pulling?
It would be nice for sure to be more even-handed with how you want to pull. It feels like they've changed their gap scheme too, where it's a longer pull now. I'll have to go back and compare and contrast when the All-22 comes out, but usually these are shorter pulls that kind of go up through the B gap. I feel like they're wrapping around the tight end now, so a little interesting wrinkle to the Steelers gap scheme.
A little bit of log blocking, right? With Filer turning back,
Yeah, if you go out wide enough and have to log somebody back into the inside. But I'm just saying, just a general path to it feels like it's a longer pull, because usually it's a shorter, quicker pull in past years. So something I want to look at a little bit more, but it feels a little different on the gap scheme, and it worked, and I was happy with it.
And I think another thing that we saw, and I can't wait to get into the All-22 on this, a little bit of pin and pull with Pouncey and Filer to the left side.
Yeah, to get those guys on the move, a couple of big guys. Obviously, Pouncey's athletic, not new to the playbook, obviously, but can be very effective.
But how many times did we see pin and pull with Foster?
Oh, yeah, to the left. Oh, never.
Right, so that's my point, right? I mean,
okay. I got you now.
We saw a couple pin and pull, but we've seen the pin and pull to the right with DeCastro and Pouncey. But I'm going back in my head. I don't think we've seen over the last several years a lot of pin and pull to the left.
Right. So overall, how would you grade the offensive line if you had to put a grade on their performance?
C-.
Yeah.
D.
I don't know if I go with a D. Yeah,
A D
C to
plus,
C
D
minus.
plus, C minus. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, not their best performance, but obviously, hopefully, you get the Castro back, and we'll see what a core for does at right tackle because he's going to be the guy at right tackle going forward. All right, Dave. Let's flip over to the defense, and it was typical Steelers swarming. I mean, this whole game for the Steelers defense came around shutting down Saquon Barkley. If you did that, you felt really good about your chances of winning this game, and they did a better job than even I could have imagined. 15 carries, 6 yards for Barkley. He was in the negatives for a good chunk of the game in terms of yardage and yards per carry. So, hats off to team run defense because that is not just one guy. Although I think there were some guys that played especially well versus the run, but that is a team run defense, defensive line, linebacker, secondary to hold one of the best running backs in football to 6 yards.
Man, I don't even know where to start on this other than wow. We knew that they were going to be good overall as a defense. I thought they would do okay against the run. I was fairly confident that they would handle that running game. I didn't think they'd handle a running game to that degree that they handled it. How about this stat for you? 8 of the 15 total carries that Saquon Barkley had Monday night resulted in lost yardage. Over 50% of those runs there. So quite phenomenal. Here's another fantastic stat for you. Ben Roethlisberger, 9 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley, 6.
Stats of the weird.
Stats of the weird for sure. They were flying, man. They were all running to the football. Even youngster Alex Highsmith, on one of those, I guess kind of an outside or kind of a outside power run. I don't know to the outside there. Joe Hayden does a great job of coming up and blowing up and setting that edge and sacrificing himself. And here comes the cavalry. And Alex Highsmith part of that cavalry on one of the few snaps that he played there. I don't know what they were trying to do with Bud Dupree. A lot of times nothing. The other times putting Ingram out there, I mean that shouldn't happen. There, just the speed of and we've said this in the past, an underrated part throughout his entire career with Dupree is his play against the run that he never got respect for. He better get it now. Unblocked. I don't care how you got to do it. I mean, you still got to take the right angles and crash down on these things. Phenomenal there. Tyson Chemo von Ohoffen Alualu. What a fantastic game he played, Alex.
Yeah, he absolutely dominated Nick Gates, the center, and whether that was just shedding blocks or being able to defeat reach blocks or spill runs outside.
Long arm. I spotted a long arm in there.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome, and so very good performance in his first official start at nose tackle.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the linebacker core did a great job of gap filling. I mean, I don't know where else we should go with this. I mean, they were all over the place against the run.
Yeah, I think the Giants learned you can't leave these backside linebackers on block because they're going to rally and they're going to make the play. Dupree, Watt, they're among the best in football at that. But just overall, I mean, I'll have to kind of like put together kind of a collection of these photos, but just a number of white jerseys around the football whenever Barkley was on the ground. It wasn't just one guy. It was 5, 6 jerseys rallying to the football, gang tackling, fanatical effort, backside pursuit, all really good marks and very few missed tackles. Overall in the entire game, run or pass. And I think to hold Barkley to 6 yards, you better be a good tackling team because that guy is tough to bring down. Even on that 4th and inches they gave up to Barkley in the left flat, which was frustrating, but like Minkah getting Barkley down in that moment because that could have easily been a touchdown if Minkah can't make that play. So overall, just a really good team effort and some great tackling and rallying to the football, and that's how you hold a top 3 running back to just 6 yards.
Absolutely, it was fantastic to watch, and Vince obviously strong against the run as usual as well. Yeah, I don't know what else to add there. Even Mike Hilton is always good against the run. Guys being in the right spot, and if you're in the right spot, that's half the battle. If you're filling those gaps and all. I think Baldinger has a clip up of one of those runs, one of those kind of zone scheme runs to the left there of everybody beating their guy to the gap and filling the gaps and blowing it up, and you stretch that stuff out like that. somebody's going to be there. If you remain A, on your feet, and B, in the right gap, it's not going to go anywhere.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, I think it's Baldy had some clips as well. I mean, the DB is getting involved run defense. Hayden, Nelson, Fitzpatrick, Edmonds, defensive backs, especially cornerbacks, are not always known for their run defense. The Eagles have a pair of really aggressive, physical, run-stopping corners in Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson.
You know, they week 2 last year was that game against the Seahawks that they had some gaps there. If they can avoid, and really the biggest thing about last year's run defense was a smattering of like 4 or 5 plays. You know,
right? That fourth down that Penny took to the house.
Right. You know, and overall they weren't bad against the run last season, but they came out of chute very, very strong, and it looks like Broncos might be without their kind of shifty runner in Lindsey this week. And look, Melvin Gordon's a good back and all, but he's not Saquon Barkley, right? You know, and so we would expect this to continue Sunday. The run against the run.
I would hope so. One other quick shout out, and I can't wait for the All-22 to look at this play. There was a run that Barkley had. I think it gained one of the few plays to gain actual positive yards, but it was inside. It was in the red zone. But Isaiah Buggs did a great job being able to bench press the guard, whoever he was working against, to force Barkley inside. Because I think if Barkley gets the outside, I think he gets in the end zone on that play. So Isaiah Buggs, I think, had a really underrated moment of 2-gapping on one moment in the second half.
You know, and they got guys snaps on defense too. Ola, what about Ola? Ola had a decent game. You know,
had a tackle for loss early. They were a lot of rotations. I mean, they had 3 different nose tackles. They had Alu, Wormley, and Buggs all played nose tackle. Alu majority of the time, but a lot of rotations there.
Right, and Robert Spillane got burned defensively in this game. On defense, man, they did a great job. Sutton obviously on the field quite a bit and all as well. So not only did the defense play well against the run, they did it with a lot of different bodies in there as well too. Got able to get Dupree off the field. Got Highsmith, 6-7 snaps somewhere around in there.
10 defensive snaps.
10. All right, 10. I should know. I wrote that up. But, I mean, the fact that you did that kind of performance, and it came from backups as well, too, is very encouraging.
Right, especially early in the year, you're going to have more rotation because guys still trying to get their legs under them without a preseason, without the spring work and all that. So rotation and depth is important, and I thought everyone played well top to bottom, especially against the run. In terms of the pass game, again, Steelers getting a lot of pressure with Watt, Dupree. Dupree didn't have the most impactful game as a pass rusher. I thought Andrew Thomas, the Giants rookie left tackle, did a good job overall, but you're getting pressure from a lot of places. The 3 sacks was Tuitt, Vince Williams, and Mike Hilton, and schemed up pressure well, got guys free and made life difficult for Daniel Jones.
Man, how many times did they send more than 4, Alex?
I can pull that up because I have our charting. I think the blitz rate was really high. I mean, he was a little quiet to start, but then Butler really turned up the heat. I know Hilton alone blitzed 9 times on Monday night, and got himself a sack. So yeah, they definitely had the whole game plan was just about getting in the backfield, both run and pass.
Is this the case where early and against some of these quarterbacks, you're just going to say, here's the sink, catch it?
Yeah. There's a risk reward to it for sure. But the Steelers make no bones about wanting to be aggressive, wanting to get in the backfield. And some of those might have been run blitzes, and you get to the quarterback along the way. Let me try to get the actual blitz number for you guys.
While you're doing that, Philip Lindsay, who is battling turf toe, is still receiving a second opinion, but don't be surprised to see him miss the next few weeks just based on the nature of his injury and the position he plays. So it doesn't look like the Broncos are going to have Philip Lindsay against the Steelers on Sunday.
That's a loss for them for sure. So the Steelers blitzed 25 times out of the 49 possible snaps that aren't runs or no plays or weird RPO stuff. So that's 51% blitz rate from Keith Butler, which his normal rate comes in around 30, 35. And so, yeah, definitely turned up the heat Monday.
All right. Look, I mean, they were pressure. I mean, they were pressuring from every different place on the field.
And they have the best off-ball blitzing linebacker in football, and Vince Williams, 18.5 career sacks now for him, and the best blitzing slot corner in football, and Mike Hilton, who has, I believe, 8.5 career sacks. So not only do they have, the scheme to do it, they have some guys who just do a great job with timing, physicality, and finishing the play.
Absolutely.
The one blemish.
Now the pass defense.
Not the best performance. Again, it's so hard to judge because passing offenses are so crisp and the rules are all in their favor, and so offenses are going to move the football. We just have to kind of accept that reality in 2020. But the one blemish was, of course, the Darius Slayton 41-yard touchdown to put the Giants up early in the game. And I wrote the article this morning on why that is not Minkah Fitzpatrick's fault. It was really, if you're going to put that on anyone, it's Joe Hayden. Although I just got to tip my cap to Daniel Jones for making a heck of a throw because that's just a tough play to defend.
Look, and this is sometimes when you get into reading PFF, sometimes where they're not on top of things. They wanted to put the blame on Steven Nelson there, and it didn't take but just one replay really of that from the back, from the backfield view or whatnot, where you could see what was going on there with Minkah and what the Steelers have done in the past to know. That was a zombie call in that situation there. And even though technically you would probably put the touchdown on Joe Hayden, the fact that, we talk all the time, Alex, about rush and coverage having to go hand in hand, right? So in certain situations, if your rush does not get there, you're going to be vulnerable to some degree depending on the call. And this was a case where the route was run perfectly as far as that was as skinny of a post as you get, which keeps it away from middle of the field and Joe Hayden having to gain depth to the middle of the field. The pass, he had enough time to set and really drive it and not let it make it hang there. Sometimes you have to take your hat off and tip it to the other team,
Right.
And if you want to put the blame on somebody on this touchdown, it's the Steelers pass rush for allowing that play enough time to develop for Jones to make the perfect throw.
Well, I thought Hayden could have done a better job of getting depth quicker. I thought he was a little late to react to that one.
Yeah, but
because it is his area of the field.
It's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, the way this call is, because the Steelers were playing their cover 3, but it was kind of a pattern match in cover 3. Because the way it used to be, especially against the Browns and like Jordan Cameron and guys like that years ago, when teams would run, it's a two route combination of a post and an over route by the tight end. The tight end's running the over route, the receiver's running the post, and when you play standard traditional cover 3, it's really hard to defend that over route if you're playing cover 3 because the cornerback, or even cover 1, if that cornerback is trailing behind the over route the entire way, he's never going to catch up. And he got burned by that over route time and time again. So they've adjusted to it. And now when that over route happens, the cornerback, in this case Hayden, communicates with the safety that the safety's now going to pick up the over route. And the cornerback's going to replace him as the free safety. And so he's got to get depth, and he's got a long ways to go. And you're prone to giving up that kind of post route. It's easier to take away the cross now, but it's harder for you to defend the post. And this happened back in the 2017 divisional game against Jacksonville. They hit a 45-yard play on the same exact coverage and the same exact concept. So it's a give and take kind of thing. It's worked out more times than not in terms of this coverage adjustment, but you can't take away everything in the NFL, unfortunately.
Right, and once again, like I said, it goes on Hayden. I wasn't throwing stuff after it though, it's tough for him. As skinny as that post was, maybe could Nelson have done a better job too? In a little bit in trail, trying to stay close. Yeah, but I still think that thing gets completed there. And now if Daniel Jones hangs that up just a tad,
right,
or if that ball's not put almost really exactly where it was and more middle to the field, Hayden probably gets there.
Yeah, no, it was a great throw. I mean, it was a perfect throw and a good finish by Slayton. Yeah, because Hayden obviously hit him. He took him to the ground, but just got there a step or two late. Again, though, I do think if Hayden was able to get a little bit more depth, maybe a slightly better angle, I think he's got a better shot at that thing. So I still put it on Hayden ultimately. But just the thing to take away from this is that while a lot of people will think that's on Minkah Fitzpatrick for biting on play action or not getting depth or whatever, it is not on Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Right.
So that was the one.
Great job on that, and showing the Jets footage as well too. And
yeah, they run this concept many times, and it's worked more often than not. And again, if you run it the traditional way, you're going to give up the cross. This way, you're more vulnerable to the post, but the post is harder to throw. It's usually not the first read. So it's give and take in the NFL. That's how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see it again.
Yeah, we will. Other than that, yeah, pass defense. I mean, it was, again, Nelson didn't have the best day. Even Hayden didn't have the best day in coverage. But overall, the way that I think defense works in today's NFL is just situational football and taking the football away. And you get two key takeaways with TJ Watt, huge interception that helped them nearly tie up the game, though possible doink the extra point, but that got the Steelers' first touchdown of the game. And then, obviously, I think the turning point of this one was the 19-play drive. Dupree forces the pressure. Cam Hayward with his first NFL interception. So that, to me, was the turning point in that game to get that stop.
I thought overall Daniel Jones wasn't awful at all. I thought Daniel Jones did a lot of good things with what he had. And look, they didn't have Golden Tate in this game, which had them kind of handicapped there right from the start as well too. I thought Daniel Jones did a lot of things right, but he should have eaten that football, or at least thrown it away. Once again, Dupree pressure, chasing the football and making the quarterback do something, that he probably didn't want to do. Kind of unforced, unforced error. Because he had no business throwing that football, and Dupree really kind of impacted that as well too. So I mean, half an interception for Dupree on that one, if you will, there, and just continuing to defend every blade of grass. I mean, because that had to be, those guys were winded, man.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, 19 plays.
How many times do you see a 19 play drive in like that?
First time since 1999 that a 19-play drive is in an interception.
Good job.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, situational football takeaways and then red zone stops. Obviously, the interception for Hayward was a red zone stop, so that's kind of both, with the takeaway and the red zone defense. But then how about, the defensive stand? You mentioned earlier, Dave, the sudden change moment after the Deonte Johnson fumble, and they have the ball on the 3-yard line the Giants do, and you're able to force the field goal. That is a massive stand by the defense to start that game out.
Absolutely. That's the kind of stuff that and that, look, I mean, to start a season like that, come out and expect the defense to quick change like that. Amen. I mean, that was absolutely a fantastic. You didn't feel so, even though you felt bad thinking, oh Lord, here it goes. At least they forced the 3 points.
Yeah. So I think an underrated moment of that game was getting that stop and holding the Giants to 3 early in that one. Anything else with the defense you want to mention?
Yeah, talk real quick about the Watt interception and him talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Watt having great instincts. He's supposed to rush on that play. He says he kind of felt that, based off the quarterback's drop, was a 3-step drop by Daniel Jones, and maybe the way the tackle was setting, they just wasn't going to get there in time, so he just jumped up in the air and picked it off, and I think we've seen him make those kind of plays before. I think he's batted some of those down before, and he finally gets the interception on this one, so that's just TJ Watt with great instincts and being one heck of a playmaker.
Absolutely. Edmonds, probably not the best day in coverage.
Yeah, I was kind of frustrated during the game. I want to go back through the all-22, of course. It wasn't terrible. I don't want to make it to we're picking on Edmonds every single game. Again, in terms of team run defense and tackling, it was pretty good there.
They definitely have some things to fix from a coverage aspect. And I have a feeling they will. And once again, pressure will solve a little bit of that.
I was surprised Butler came out playing so much zone early. I was expecting man-heavy approach. I know Jones is kind of athletic, but he's not Lamar Jackson, so you can play man coverage, and if he wants to take off and run, then so be it. You just try to contain it up the best that you can. But I was surprised at kind of the softer zone coverage early. I was not a big fan of that.
And, a couple of plays that they did make on a couple of conversions as well, too, was Jones with his feet, So that's a concerning aspect moving forward against some of these guys like Lamar and all like that, the fact that they gave up a couple of 3rd and longs that they shouldn't have, and then they gave up a couple with Jones and his feet, I think, and those are little things you can't give up them 3rd and 13s or 14s or whatnot. You got to be getting off the field in those situations.
Yeah, the Giants were 8 for 15 on 3rd down, and that's too high of a conversion rate for my liking.
Okay.
All right, Dave. I think that's everything for the defense. Let's talk special teams, and it was not a great day for the Danny Smith Forever fan club. Party of one over here, as it was pretty rough. Obviously, Boswell missed an extra point. He had a kickoff go out of bounds. He had the Deonte Johnson muff. Am I forgetting anything else? The net punting was poor. Some of the tackles on the punt coverage team was poor. And yes, obviously special teams is hard to replicate in training camp, and you expected some level of sloppiness, but that does not really make it any easier or any more acceptable for a coach or for a team that they struggle like that.
Yeah, I haven't gone deep into it yet. Obviously, we'll learn a little bit more about it when the all 22 comes out and all. But your Gunners getting down there, but on one specific that caught my eye, they get down there and they didn't make the tackle, and the returner gets like 12 yards to midfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think Claypool was it Claypool that missed on that one?
I think Lane and Claypool both had misses in that game.
Right. So got to obviously get better in that aspect of it, and I would say it can only get better, but I know better. And then look, the whole Deonte thing, even his next punt, fair catch was an adventure.
Yeah. On the bright side, though, the one bright side here is Ray Mcleod, 33-yard kick return. He was so close. It was a weird feeling seeing a kick returner almost break one.
Right. The Turf Monster, I think, got one of his ankles on that one there. But he definitely has some explosion. Look, they're probably not going to get many times as a whole throughout the season to return a kick,
right?
Because of teams probably going to kick it out of the end zone or just touchbacks or whatnot. So, maybe they'll get one. Maybe they'll get one.
Just get to the 35, and maybe Mcleod can do that. Good blocking, though, as well. And, yeah, it's interesting. The Steelers allowing Mcleod. I think, actually, he had to return that one because I think he caught it at, like, the 1. But the Giants were deathly afraid of returning a kick. They were doing everything possible. I think the 1 rolled. They let it roll into the end zone because they just did not want to return a kick. So the kick coverage unit was not really tested.
And then Juju, I thought, made a good play on that late onside.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good member of the hands team out there. So special teams has to get better for sure. The net punting, like I said, the first 3 punts, the nets were like 31, 39, 39. That's a really poor number overall. So hopefully to see better days for the Steelers special teams.
And I can do what? Did you get a look at the hold? The TV angle really didn't. It cut to it late on the doink by. So I didn't get a chance. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to look at that. If the hold was bad or what happened on the missed extra point.
I haven't. I'm not sure what happened there. If that was a bad hold or if Boswell just screwed it up.
All right, so that's something we'll look at here.
All right, Dave. I think that's basically recapping the game against Steelers win. I'll take the victory however you can get it. It was a really solid, game overall, not flawless by any means. The offense has work to do. The secondary has some work to do, but you take away their best player, and Ben looks sharp, and this defense is going to be good. Ben looks good. You combine those two things, you got a really good shot at making some noise this regular season and hopefully in a playoff run.
Yeah, I think. I think that defense will get better, especially on the pass, against the pass end of it there. But I don't know if they can get much better against the run. There, you would think special teams, or would hope if special teams get better. You think the offense will, get off to better starts. Now that Ben's got the rust off of it as well too. So look, 1-0, especially for the way that game started, as opposed to how it ended. And I'll take it.
Yeah, I will take it as well. Anything else you want to touch on from the game? Or you want to talk about Tomlin and his press conference briefly? I don't know if there's a whole lot there to discuss, but where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, what did we learn from the press conference?
Not a whole lot. As we talked about some of the issues, miscommunication or uncertainty about the roster rules and only having 47 active when they could have had 48 active instead. We talked about the injury report. And is there anything else from Tomlin? Let me pull up some of the stuff we wrote on it. He says he's got a confidence in a core four to be next man up for Banner, but there's some angst with Kevin Dotson if he has to get ready for Sunday against Denver.
Yeah, I have a feeling we might see that angst,
Right.
We'll see, but look, you drafted that kid. He played right guard, obviously 50-something games, and I don't think it's too big for him. If DeCastro can't go, I'm rooting for that to happen. How's that?
If you're rooting for Dotson to start.
Right.
If DeCastro can't go.
Right.
I mean, he's really the only other option, assuming Wisniewski can't go.
Right.
It's either him or Hassenauer, and I do not want Hassenauer playing right guard.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, hopefully, if they can run the football more effectively, because obviously Dotson was known as a, kind of road grader, run mauler. And if you can kind of focus on that, maybe slide protection his way, give him some help, then maybe that's the best way to mitigate some of the concerns we'll have with Kevin Dotson.
Yeah, now the downside to it is you're going to have Chooks and you would have, two guys Two guys and the communication better be good, and they better be, I'm not sure they got a lot of work on being on the same levels together, and that kind of stuff scares you for sure,
Right. Stunts and blitz pickup and all that, and then just an overall concern about depth, because if Wisniewski's out, DeCastro's out, obviously Banner's done for the season, you got Hassenauer, and who's your backup tackle? Filer?
Whew. Yeah, that's good.
I think they would have to make a move if all those guys are out.
Yeah, we'll get some clarity on that probably later today, right?
Yeah. Maybe we'll see someone get elevated, because somebody would have to be elevated. Hassenauer is an interior guy who can play center or guard. Really, center is where I would want him at if I'm going to play him anywhere. But, yeah, definitely going to be some roster moves there I'm expecting.
All right, what else we got? You ready to get to some reader emails or no?
Yeah, let's get to some emails and close out the show.
Some emus. What'd you say? Some emus?
Did I say emus? Emails. Yeah. Maybe emails.
All right. Pre-snap motion from Matt Palmer. All offseason we heard about Coach Canada and how he will bring pre-snap motions and window dressing to give defenses more to think about. You can see that right off the bat. We came out doing this multiple times in the first half against the Giants with little to no success. The thing about pre-snap motion across the formation is it only works if the guy going in motion is, I wouldn't say it's the only time it works, but it certainly does help. A guy going in motion is a threat that the defense has to respect. Our coaching staff should know this. I love Juju, but he is not a speed threat I think I said the same thing, to get outside. In Kansas City, it looks great because they have Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman blazing across there, which holds the edge defender and opens up some running lanes inside. I thought maybe McFarland and Mcleod were brought in for this purpose, but maybe they need more time to be ready. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about this. Matt, I think we addressed a lot of that earlier in this show. Look, it's one game, We already said that there was a lot. We saw a lot of it. Let's see how the personnel they start using this moving forward. And I agree. You got to, as Alex and I said, you got to give defenses reason to be scared of it. And we'll have to watch this moving forward. Can you use Look, if McFarland dresses moving forward, it's probably because of a running back injury. We could see that this week. Are there going to be games where maybe you're able to address both McLeod and McFarland? Probably. And if that's the case, then yeah, you need to try to use one or both of them a couple of times in those kind of situations. And as we've said all along with McFarland, you got to give him the football in his hands, running, however, motions, whatever, to start with.
Speed is nice, but to me, the issue is just to make sure that window dressing is more than window dressing. To, as you said, to make sure that defenses have to respect that it can actually be part of your play and not just eye candy. And it's less about personnel. And so again, speed is nice, but our defense is more scared of Juju Smith-Schuster, the number one receiver on this team, and a guy that just had 2 touchdowns against the Giants, or Anthony McFarland or Ray McLeod, 2 guys that you don't even know who they are. So again, I understand they're faster than Juju, and in that sense, there's a bit more stress and strain. But they're going to be scared of Juju's in motion too, because if he gets the football in space, the dude's going to make plays.
One thing that just hit me. We talk about Juju real quick. I want to go back to that while it's in my head, replaying it. Is that kind of that return route that Juju ran off of the pick? Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, that little whip route, and that was again with a pick and man coverage, and he runs his routes really effectively.
Right. I wanted to get that while it went through my head. Let's see here. Bryce writes in, Game 1 win. Good to get a week 1 win. A couple thoughts. Overall, I thought defense had a really good game. However, the third down defense wasn't up to snuff. I feel Daniel Jones showed on tape last year that he struggled against zone. So did you see the defense playing too much zone on 3rd and long? I thought in those situations I would have liked to see them coming after that offensive line and blitz those protections. What's your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, they blitzed 50% of the time. I think they had enough pressure. I was a little surprised to see the amount of zone. Maybe there was a lot of concern about Jones taking off with his feet, but in terms of pressure, Butler dialed up the heat.
Yeah, we already talked about a couple of those third downs. Shouldn't have gave up one or two of them. I think because of Daniel Jones' feet. Oh, the one on the throwback. I mean, what are you going to do about that? The one to Barkley,
on 4th down.
Was that the 4th down one? Yeah.
I mean, there was probably some holding on TJ Watt there. But again, I'm just glad that Minka made that tackle because that could have been 6. So I'm glad that a good play for the Giants did not turn into a great play for the Giants.
Bryce goes on. Ray looked like he was shot out of a cannon on his one return. Hope he gets more opportunities in return, but hold on to the football. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get with him kicking out of the end zone, but it was good to see him almost break one. Number 3, not in the way I would want it, but I think that crazy free agent situation for next year may actually be starting to work itself out, as these things tend to always do. Sucks that Banner got hurt because I think he can be a good right tackle, but I can see him signing for a minimum. I put that on Twitter yesterday and in the post yesterday. And we talked about it at the top of the podcast. I see a 1-year minimum deal for Banner as he works his way back. Bryce goes on to say, I see the team re-signing Filer, finding a way to extend Villanueva and possibly franchise it Juju for 1 year, all of what they did for Bud Dupree. He goes on to say Connor is gone. Jury is still out on if they extend Hilton. They break the bank for TJ. Look, you know my thoughts on this. I appreciate the optimism there. I'd love to see Filer, Hilton, Juju back. I think you probably might have to choose between one of those, and with maybe Juju not being one of those.
Yeah, it's hard to envision all those guys returning. But to the overall point, yeah, I mean, these things will work themselves out. That's why I don't spend a lot of time thinking about who's going to return or not before the season because, Banner's situation has changed dramatically and other guys' situations will probably change, somewhat significantly throughout the season. So I'm just trying to get through the season, get through Sunday against Denver and take it week by week.
Alex, you let me worry about that other stuff, right?
It's all you, Dave.
You let Dave Kahn take care of that, all right? Mike Adesso writes in, hi, Dave and Alex. Can you guys name a better set of 4 wide receivers in the league right now than Juju, Deonte, Washington, and Claypool? He says, I'll wait. Also, some needs to call Coach Randy someone needs to tell Coach Randy that he had everything covered on his face but the actual nose and mouth. I don't think I noticed that. What do you think about your boy Danny Smith?
Face shield and gum chewing. Yeah, that is. I'm glad he has that. He should probably wear that face shield just even when COVID's gone, just because I'm sure people are Tomlin and then we're in spitting distance. So I think the face shield's a good look for Danny Smith.
It looked like he had electrical tape or something.
Not runway model.
I don't know how he had that thing fashioned to his head there. Lastly, Alex, was there a better shot than that of Danny Smith chomping away on 17 pieces of gum through his face shield? That's great.
Amazing. I got so many tweets about that. That was fantastic.
Let's see if I got something else here. Ashley Lawson from Newcastle, England, writes in, you guys probably covered this in the pod, but would like to know both your thoughts on the following. Which player against the Giants was game MVP, underrated player, and most looking forward to seeing more of in week 2? Great questions, Ashley. Great questions there. Game MVP.
I'm going Bud Dupree. I thought Ben's an easy answer, but I thought Dupree was the best player on the field Monday night.
I'm going Ben Roethlisberger because it is the easy and it's the correct answer. That score one for me. Ben was Bud was awesome. Bud was awesome.
Yeah.
But give me Ben Roethlisberger. Underrated player from the Giants game. I know. Can I go first? No.
I think we have the same answer.
Okay.
Tyson.
Yes.
Alulu?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, most definitely.
He was great.
Most looking forward to seeing more of in week 2. Another good question.
Most looking forward to seeing in week 2. That's a good question. I don't know. I want to see some more from Ebron. Just one catch, kind of a quiet game for him. He Ben overthrew him on that 1 3rd down, but I want to see some more from Eric Ebron.
I'm going to go Kevin Dotson.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't want to push the caster out. I'm hoping I don't see Dotson just because
this assumes,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the Castro and Wisniewski won't play. So, see, that's a short email, but great questions there, Ashley from Newcastle, England. I'm going to try to get some more in here. Joseph Record writes in from Newmarket, Maryland. Hello, huge fan of the podcast and the website. Looking forward to coverage every day. A couple of questions. Maryland now has 5 alumni on the 53-in practice squad. Being from Maryland and a Terp fan, this is pretty cool and is really the only bright spot for me with the football program in the last several years. Do you recall the Steelers ever having that many players from one school on their roster or practice squad? Probably some of those Ohio State kids from 2000 and they probably middle of 2000s, right around there. Some Ohio State kids, I would say.
Even like the early 2010s with Hayward and Mike Adams and whoever else was there. Doug Worthington, I think he was probably gone by then. But Michigan, Ohio State, Maryland, the hotspots.
Who was that other outside linebacker that they had that didn't make it from Ohio State?
Oh, Thaddeus Gibson.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
I might. Okay, good there. Number 2, I might be hyper paranoid, but do you think Ben's arm angle was different Monday night? We kind of talked about this early in the show. It looks like more 3/4 delivery than usual. He says, "Yeah, Joseph, let us kind of ponder that one there. I haven't studied that too much from the other night."
Mm-hmm. It may have shifted some. I'm not saying that it hasn't, but it's effective. And I don't care. His angle can be Phillip Rivers as long as he has games like he did Monday.
Thought about Paxton Lynch before Paxton made blah, blah, blah. John Elway gave up first-round draft pick on draft only after 4 career starts. That's odd. Did some light research and found that Paxton only scored an 18 on the Wonderlic. I know this is not a true grading testament on players. However, it's a very low score. Couple that with him being called spacey and unattentive by many draft scouts, I speculate that this was his issue, why he inevitably got cut by Denver and Pittsburgh. Perhaps he was a guy that got by on talent, but when it time to expand the mental aspects of the game, he had a low ceiling. I perhaps that's it. Look, there's a lot of stupid good quarterbacks in the NFL, right? I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think just general accuracy problems with Paxton. He was just all arm, no accuracy seemed to be the thing for him, and why that was, I'm not sure. So hard to speculate, but honestly, I don't really think about Paxton Lynch anymore because I don't think he's going to ever be a Pittsburgh Steeler again.
Yep. Chris Warren writes in, and he's from Indy. What's your opinion in terms of Ben's accuracy, velocity, and spiral? I know that Tomlin has commented on the latter being a work in progress. In my view, Ben looked really good. Constant pressure notwithstanding. What do you guys think? Look, I thought the accuracy got better if there's anything that most concerned me maybe as a whole about Ben's performance the other night, it was the accuracy more than velocity and spiral.
I thought both were really good. I think he earns check marks on both of those. You look at the accuracy on the Claypool completion, the couple of crosses to Juju. I think the first the gain on a 3rd down and the touchdown, and the velocity. Again, I'll just point you to that bullet he threw to Deonte Johnson that was incomplete, but to me it was like his throw of the night. That told me like, okay, this dude is back. He can rip it.
And by accuracy too, I thought on one of those scrambles or whatnot too, he had Ebron a little bit high. He missed him on that one. The throw behind or the swing out to the left to Connor early, which Connor probably should have still had that, but it wasn't a great throw. And a couple other throws I thought were most of what I'm talking about is accuracy was first 19 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm. Overall, it was 21 for 29, almost 75% completion rate. I mean, I know we're both happy with that performance.
Oh yeah, he was still my MVP. Alex Campbell writes in, "Hey guys, is it me or were the Steelers subbing guys in more than usual? I especially noticed it along the defensive front 7 as I seem to see Spillane, Buggs, Ola, and Highsmith on the field an awful lot during the starting way back at the first drive of the game. Did the defensive backups get more snaps than is typical? I don't know about typical. It certainly felt like that, Alex Campbell. As Alex and I said earlier in the show, what better way, to get this thing started than, with also getting some of these guys on the field with some playing time, top to bottom.
Yeah, I think week one, again, guys trying to get their conditioning with how just crazy this offseason has been. But overall, I'm looking at the snap counts now. These guys still play a lot. Watt, 84% of the snaps, Tua at 81%, Bud, 85%, Hayward, 74%. So while there was a healthy amount of rotation, I mean, these guys still played at percentages that are pretty similar to regular levels. So I think it's part of the newness of just new faces also being subbed in when you see Chris Wormley, Alex Highsmith, Robert Spillane, just guys and numbers you're not used to seeing. It kind of makes it feel a little bit different. But good to get those guys rotated. And Highsmith, so close to his first sack. That was a great cross chop he had on the right tackle and just could not get Daniel Jones in time.
Yeah, I pointed that out on a still shot last night on Twitter that did a great act of the hands on that pass rush. Got the chop in. I thought even better once he had that gate open. He was able to turn that corner at a nice angle and on the same level as Daniel Jones.
Right.
I thought that was probably and all that came out of him with his hand in the dirt too.
Yeah, they rushed. I'll have to look at the numbers. Watt rushed a ton with his hand down. I don't remember him doing that last year.
I don't either, and that's what caught my eye on it. Now look, Alex rushed with his hand in the dirt. You know, even as a defensive.
He was yeah.
As a defensive tackle, right? You know.
Mm-hmm. In 2018, he was a D lineman.
Yeah, as a D lineman there, so that's not new to him. But he got a nice get off, active hands, and once again, I thought one of the most impressive parts of that whole pass rush was him once the gate was open. Him turning that corner at the angle and the level that Jones was, and he almost hawked him down.
Watt had his hand down 22 times on 50-something snaps on Monday. So I'll have to compare that to last year, but I promise you that is an unusually high number for TJ Watt.
All right. Who did I say that was from? Alex. Let's see. Jim Bendis writes in, just a quick favor, when you go through Game Pass, could you please review the missed kick? Please look at the hold to make sure it was held correctly and that was not a factor. Okay, Jim, we'll try to remind us to look at that there. Brett Now writes in, you guys love football being back. Remember being asked about Pierre jumping lane on the depth chart based on the team, keeping him on the roster. You said, let's see if he gets a hat. It's only week one, but he was the surprise hat this week. What are your thoughts now? Is the tinfoil hat or is it something to it? To be continued. I don't know how much to read into that just yet.
Yeah, I don't know either, especially with the whole inactive kind of debacle, though I imagine Pierre will be active again on Sunday. I mean, Lane was also up, and Lane was the gunner over Pierre, so it wasn't like Pierre jumped Lane where Lane didn't get a helmet at all. That would have been really telling. So, but that does just speak level confidence to Pierre getting a helmet, getting a hat, and being inactive. That means they must trust him to be ready, which is pretty impressive for an undrafted free agent.
Whether or not he's jumped him on the cornerback depth chart, unfortunately, there's only one way we're going to find out. And
I hope we don't have to find out that way.
I'm hoping we don't have to find out that way.
And I still think Cam Sutton is the next man as an outside corner over Lane or Pierre.
Right. I would agree. And even so, that's what I'm saying. To get to the point where we're finding that stuff out, I don't want to get to that point unless it's like 50-something to nothing or something, you know.
Right.
Number 2, he was shocked that UG3 did not get the helmet. You were shocked.
I was shocked.
I was floored. Even more surprised that Spillane got snaps on D, presumably over UG3. What do you make of UG3 being inactive? I make of it Tomlin made a mistake. Do you think this could be discipline issue, missing meetings? No, I think Tomlin made a mistake. Or do they see Spillane as more of a run stopper? Once again, that's going to be a to be continued searching this out. Let's see what happens this next week.
I would say that Spillane is Vince Williams' backup at the Buck linebacker. UG3 or Marcus Allen, I suppose, is the backup to Devin Bush at the MAC, and that was Spillane coming in for Vince for 8 snaps. I don't know if Vince got dinged or if that was planned or whatever the case was. Although I will say in terms of the inactive list, let's assume that the Steelers would have done this correctly and had only 5 inactive. Only one's getting a hat between Gentry and UG3. Who do you think gets the hat there?
That's a good question.
It's not a guarantee that UG3 would have been active had they gotten that correct, because Gentry was as much, if not more, of a surprise than Gilbert not getting a hat.
Here's the thing that I'm going back to now, trying to reverse engineer this. which I do a lot of, probably too much of sometimes. I'm guessing because of what they think that or know that they have now in Marcus Allen, especially when it comes to teams, special teams numbers as well too, and maybe positionally what Pierre can give you. What teams did Pierre play on?
I'm not even sure. Probably
right?
kick coverage. Probably kick coverage. Played 7 snaps on the same unit as Marcus Allen and Sean Davis, it appears. So I'll have to go back and look at that.
I'm guessing Ben Spillane is a better, even though UG3 is a good special teams player, Spillane's a better one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that maybe we have not seen the last of UG3 not dressing right now, because if you're treating Marcus Allen as a quasi linebacker, right? Do you need 10 linebackers dressing?
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I think
you see how I did that.
Sure. No, I know you should go to MIT with all that engineering you're doing.
Could you imagine that? How much fun they'd make of me?
Anyway, I think Gentry might have gotten the hat if they had all 48 up. So we'll see. That's disappointing though, because UG3 I was really high on, but injuries and stuff will eventually open the door for him, I'm sure.
And obviously Gentry doesn't give you that much as a special teamer,
Mm-hmm.
But you would kind of have hoped that the rest of his game would warrant. Did you see them using Villanueva on the opposite line? Did you the scrimmage as the extra blocker for a snap or two?
Did they went unbalanced?
They did, and guess who played tight end on the other side? Who played tackle on the other side?
Who's that?
Eric Ebron.
Really?
Wait till you see that one. I can't believe I caught that one and you didn't.
Yeah. Did they do that just once, or is there several occasions?
Oh, no, you would have to ask that, you rat. You had to.
You got the charting.
Take me. I know. Hold on just a minute here now.
I didn't realize that they went unbalanced. That's pretty cool.
Hold on. Let me filter this real quick. And props to Tom. Got this back to us, man.
Yeah.
Very good. Super quick. Let's see here if I can find it.
And Gentry might have to get active as emergency tackle duty at the rate these tackles are going down.
Let me see if I can find it on the Villanueva charting here.
Yeah, it should be some sort of denoting that Villanueva's played right tackle in the charting. Because I got to ask Tom to send that to me, because I did not get a copy.
I'm not. You know what? He might have missed this one on here. I'm not seeing it for some reason.
Okay.
I know I didn't dream it. Now, we also saw, we did see Chooks in there as an extra tight end on a handful of snaps here. I'm not seeing the unbalanced line one here. I'm going to have to find that and rectify that. But I know there was at least one play that we saw that, and Ebron, I think, was the handing a dirt tackle on the other side.
Come a long ways from not hitting the blocking sleds, Ebron.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I didn't dream that, Alex. Let me know when you find it on the tape. Right. What else do we have here? How about we wrap up with that? I think that's it. No, wait. Charles Munger has one. Feels like NFL coaches miss opportunities where others don't. Ravens/Patriots. The Giants could have challenged that they did fumble when T.J. Watt knocked the ball out near the goal line and their linemen recovered it. Worst cases, they lose a first half timeout and it's an incomplete, or they get a TD. I agree. I think they said that on the broadcast as well too, right? That maybe they should have challenged that.
Right, because I know it was ruled incomplete, but because there was a clear recovery, I guess they could have won it. I think there was a question or not of whether that would have been a touchdown. I think it would have been down at where he would have picked it up, which was at like the half-yard line. But yeah, maybe a missed opportunity there. New head coach. I mean, that's stuff that new head coaches got to try to work through.
Why didn't the Steelers coaches call a timeout when the play clock went to 1 second on a 3rd and 1? No reason to let the offense lose 5 yards for delay of game penalty. Yeah, I think everybody. Ben thought he called for a reset. Was that the one where Ben thought he had called for a reset and didn't get it? And
yep.
No, there's no excuse for having a 3rd and 1 delay a game like that. Absolutely.
Tomlin,
right.
I tweeted this. Tomlin has to call timeout there. He's got to protect his quarterback and know the situation. Yeah, not Tomlin's best game for a week one, but this is a whole new weird situation.
Charles, number 3, the Steelers should have gone for 2 after the last touchdown. They had a chance to go up by 3 scores and a 17-point advantage to completely put the game out of reach instead of the 2 scores and a 16-point advantage.
Yeah, I saw some people comment that Tomlin should have gone for 2, and I get that aspect, but also you could argue, yeah, it's 2 scores, but if you don't get it, then it's you only need 1 2-point conversion and an extra point to tie the game. It's a 15-point game. If you get the extra point, they need now 2 2-point conversions, so you still like your odds there. I was okay with kicking the field goal.
Yeah, I was as well too. Matt writes saying, given the injury suffered on the offensive line, could you see Ramon Foster coming out of retirement? No.
And he tweeted as much. No, not happening.
Okay, I think we got it. We made it through.
All right.
Good questions this week, and we got all this done within 2 hours. I thought it was going to be an 11-hour show today. So we kept it under 2 there. So in the meantime, we'll get into the All-22 film, and we'll have a beat writer hopefully on to preview the Broncos game on Friday. Man, it's already Wednesday, Alex. Where does it go? In the meantime, follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, please go to SteelersDepot.com. and hit the donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com and hit the ad-free button. For $25 for 1 calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com. Great questions. Thank you, listeners. Great week 1. We look forward to bringing week 2 to you moving forward. Great job, Alex. Appreciate the hard work you and Alex did this past week, and then really all the contributors on the site as well, too. Thanks for everybody who continues to visit the site, listen to the podcast. As always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.